I am the bone of my controller. Obscurity is my body, pretension is my blood. I have raised over 1,000 monsters, unknown to death, because I have no life. I have withstood the pain to catch them all, yet I'm a Snek and cannot hold anything. So as I play, unlimited Snek works. Greetings, everyone. I am the Master Snek, here to talk about a franchise that I only recently became a fan of, Fate. I'll be honest, Fate is an amazing series that has some really cool premises, like the summoning of heroes and famous figures from myths and history to fight it all out for a wish-granting artifact. But it must be said, every cool thing Fate does, it does at least two stupid things. Some of these missteps are silly and easy to overlook, and others are... well, let me put it this way. This is what Fate thinks Sir Francis Drake looked like. So, I mean, yeah. But odds are good that you knew that already, so let's get to the point. For as goofy and overly wordy as Fate can be, it's a fun franchise, and this game in particular may well be my go-to game for the Fate series, Fate Extella Link, the direct sequel to Fate Extella. Now, word of caution, Fate Extella is nowhere near as good as this game. It's not bad, but Extella Link does make some massive quality of life improvements that greatly enhance the gameplay. And the story will also pick up as if you had played the first. And the short version of that is, in this world, there's only one master able to summon the heroic spirits, that being you, the player. And you live on a computer server that's also on the moon. Yeah, that makes about as much sense in context as it does with my explaining it, so don't ask. Makes about as much sense as Star Force being the sequel to Battle Network, so I digress. Short version of the story thus far, Attila the Hun is in trouble. Charlemagne the Frank wants to be your best friend. There, I saved you 30 minutes of intro sequence. Oh yeah, Caesar Nero and Tamamo no Mai want to be your waifu, but they're both the worst waifu, so I can safely say Charlie is best waifu, at least on the onset. Alright, with that out of the way, it's time to play the game. Immediately the game looks great. Very anime-esque and stylized. And with 99% of the DLC of this game being costumes, the game really goes big on style and aesthetic. And they really use this rather bizarre setting as a means to create some very visually interesting areas, as the zones are essentially all floating islands, connected by tunnels that your servant will go sailing through between. The levels are all brightly colored, as are characters who inhabit them, and they're designed really dynamically, so the maps rarely ever feel repetitive. Even the enemies themselves come in flavors of obviously a mook that can be killed in one hit, or mid-boss designs while using that whole inside a computer motif to their advantage. Then you have things like the servants for boss fights and set encounters and give it a proper escalation of threat. And since you also have the option of getting to dress the servants, even those you may not be controlling of that mission, as you see fit, this can be hilarious and a bit of fan service all in one. Fate in a nutshell, really. Music in this game is solid stuff. Since it's an action game, the music is mostly up-tempo tracks set to whatever area you're in, or the character themes when they launch their ultimate abilities, special abilities called Noble Phantasms, because Fate. The sound effects are punchy too, giving really high-energy impact sounds and unique audio cues for each servant's special ability. Plus on Steam, you can even have the soundtrack included in the deluxe bundle if you happen to like it. As said, it's an action game with RPG elements, with a strong skill focus. If this looks kind of like Dynasty Warriors, well, that's because it basically is with its own twists. Rather than having open, neutral areas, each individual zone can be taken over by defeating a set number of mooks, scaling upwards for larger areas, and then the Guardian units that spawn once that quota has been met. This means that you and your AI allies, who are shockingly competent for a game of this genre, need to keep tabs on the field you're presently in for situational awareness, and also on the map at large, sometimes adjusting your strategies on the fly as need arises. Add in the fact that you have a special gauge that builds as you fell enemies, which then, when active, will fill your Noble Phantasm gauge, which, in the context of this game, basically acts as a full area clear for whatever zone you're currently in. Plus skill cooldown, you'll be managing a lot of things at the same time. just like an actual in-game master who serves for the player's avatar. It's not only shockingly fitting, it's also kind of meta all at once. This means the game is going to be pretty grind-heavy as a rule. Lower levels can triumph for superior skills and battlefield comprehension. The main storyline is broken up into 3 subsequent runs, which you're expected to take in numeric order. Though I ended up doing 2 before 1 somehow, go figure. Ultimately, this will culminate in the true and most difficult ending in the 3rd path. After that, the mission mode is where the bulk of the gameplay will reside, having missions both taken right from the story and new additional ones utilizing some of the same maps for additional content unlocks. There's also the terrifyingly deep 4 vs 4 online multiplayer mode, which I've not even scratched the surface of yet. There's tons of customization for each of the game's many heroic spirits, including specific power-ups to equip on each, your mystic code, or the outfit that the master wears, which skills you equip to each hero, and more. If you want a game that's going to take you a while to truly get 100% completion on, this is a good choice that'll keep you coming back for more. There's 27 heroic spirits, counting the DLC extra one, and most of these get unlocked just by playing the game more, almost all through the actual campaign mode, and these run the gamut of the 7 main Fate classes. Though even those are merely referenced and are largely unimportant, mechanically speaking. And across the campaign mode, there's more than 30 missions, and I don't even know how many are in mission mode. It's a very robust game that gives you a lot of options and lots of challenges to undertake, including some rather amusing achievements such as "We're Lancers on the Moon, we carry a harpoon," which you'll get for defeating Skathak as Ku Khulain. That sort of self-aware sense of humor goes a long way with me, and it serves to spice up otherwise excessively wordy cutscenes that are interspersed in the campaign mode. Almost all of these effectively boil down to "let's fight enemy at X themed zone" or "let's fight enemy at Y themed zone" when you get right down to it. And if I were to issue any other complaint, it would be, I just wish there were more servants. I know that's a big set of criteria, especially since I do play Fate Grand Order, which has a comically absurd number of playable servants, but a Snek can dream. Another, I wish the mission mode were a bit more robust and didn't rely so much on high-level copies of the same story missions. Just to give it a bit more variety, you know? As with many games I review, I loved this game, I just wanted more. And while it has many characters and many missions, and I like it a lot, I just feel like the game that's already leaning a bit DLC heavy could stand to broaden the roster a bit more in so doing. And lastly, it's a bit overly grindy at times and maybe a bit overwritten, as said. Fate on the whole is needlessly verbose, so I've come to expect that much, but the grind is a legitimate problem. While you can use money to level up heroes, that caps at whoever has the highest naturally ground out level of the roster. After a certain threshold, this gets tedious and becomes a whole lot of busy work. As a whole, Fate Extella Link is a solid Warriors-like game that has its own identity, due to the interesting and robust mechanical improvements over the first game. If you already like Fate, you will almost certainly enjoy this action beat-em-up RPG game. If you're not a fan, you may still enjoy it for its own charms, even if you found the story and many of its characters, well, ludicrous. It's a solid, fast-paced game that's entertaining to play and has a ton of subtle nuance that gives the game its own feel. So at the end of it all, do I want Fate Extella 3? Absolutely I do. I look forward to that possibility with great anticipation. And before anyone asks, my favorite servant is Archer Emiya. This has been the Hipster Snek, bringing another obscure game to light. If you liked today's episode, feel free to tap that corresponding like button and leave a comment below. It helps me out a lot. And if you want more content like this each week, you can hit that subscribe and bell icons as well, so you'll never miss out. You can now follow me on Twitter, handle @HipsterSnek, or even go the extra mile with some QP over at my Subscribestar page, link in the description. Join me here every week for more obscure games and indie excellence, and I'll see you there.